subcommittee will come to order.
It was the biggest bombshell of the biggest political scandal in American history.
Mr. Butterfield, are you aware of the installation of any listening devices in the Oval Office of the President?
I was aware of listening devices. Yes, sir.
White House aide Alexander Butterfield revealing the existence of the White House taping system to the Senate Watergate Committee.
When Butterfield gave that dramatic testimony in July 1973, it was a pivot point in Watergate.
Reporter Bob Woodward, who along with Carl Bernstein famously exposed the machinations of the Nixon White House, had tried and failed to interview Butterfield. So he passed the name on to the Watergate Committee.
Do you think the tapes would have ever been revealed had it not been for Butterfield?
I think they probably would not have.
Turns out Butterfield was sitting on a lot more secrets, 20 boxes full of them.
This is the year 1971, and each of these is a month.
Which 2 years ago he turned over to Woodward.
Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, think that you would one day be collaborating with Bob Woodward, of all people?
No, not at all.
So what did you think when you walk into his apartment and you see those 20 boxes?
I thought, wow, let's start looking.
The result is The Last of the President's Men, published by Simon & Schuster, a division of CBS. In addition to the documents, Woodward spent 40 hours interviewing Butterfield, who for 3 years occupied the office next to the president's.
First one to see him every day, last person to see him every night, attending to all of the immediate needs.
When Butterfield left, he took his files with him.
Some of those documents are classified top secret. How did you just walk away with them from the White House?
It was easy. I just walked away with them. I did the wrong thing. No one's supposed to do that. But I felt, to tell you the truth, that those papers were safer with me than with anyone. I'd been around classified documents. That's no excuse, but I'm saying I wasn't going to show these to the wrong person, and I was going to take good care of them.
One top secret document reveals Nixon's candid handwritten opinion of the bombing of Vietnam. An angry scrawl across a report from his national security advisor, Henry Kissinger. We have had 10 years of total control of the air in Laos and Vietnam. The result? Zilch. And just the day before, Nixon told Dan Rather of CBS News exactly the opposite.
The results have been very, very effective.
But surely Nixon was not the first and won't be the last president to privately say things he would never say in public.
Yeah, but the level of contradiction and the depth of the fraud.
According to Woodward's research, Nixon had already ordered the military to drop nearly 3 million tons of bombs and would order another million dropped in the year after the Zilch memo.
It sends you into your heart and soul about, what are we doing? How did this happen? How could we have been led this way? It takes the concept of military leadership by a president, turns it on its head.
Another document, this one in Butterfield's handwriting, details Nixon's reaction to the My Lai massacre, in which 504 Vietnamese civilians were slaughtered by American GIs.
Here's just one quote of what you wrote down. Get backgrounds of all involved, all must be exposed, discredit witnesses.
Yeah, see, discredit, that rings a bell. We went to great lengths to discredit people all the time.
Butterfield wrote one memo about the possible left-wing affiliations of Ronald Ridenour, the soldier who first blew the whistle on My Lai, and another about Seymour Hersh, the reporter who broke the story. According to the memo, Hersh received a $1,000 grant from the Edgar B. Stern Family Fund, which is clearly left-wing and anti-administration. Another vulnerable spot, according to Butterfield's notes, is the possible involvement of a lib Jew.
So if the guy was a liberal Jew, that was material with which to to discredit somebody?
Yeah, you're asking me things that are very difficult to explain about a very complicated man.
A president who, on a Christmas Eve tour of the old executive office building next to the White House, made a discovery that sparked a witch hunt.
Some of the staff people, bureaucrats, the civil servants, had pictures of John F. Kennedy on their desks or on the wall. Nixon said we have to get rid of that infestation, as if it was some sort of disease that somebody would have a picture of JFK in their office.
What were you supposed to do about these pictures of other presidents on the walls?
Get them all taken down.
Get them all taken down?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did. He made that express order.
In particular, White House Chief of Staff Bob Haldeman told Butterfield, "The president would like you to find out who the woman is who has the 2 Kennedy pictures," adding, "He asks about it once a week at least." Butterfield reported back that the CIA, Secret Service, and FBI, even the House Committee on Un-American Activities, all found the woman, a civil servant named Edna Rosenberg, was a completely loyal American.
What's surprising as you go through all of this is the amount of energy that was devoted to these kind of maneuvers. This was a subversion of what the job of the presidency is.
All of it documented in Butterfield's files.
That's to Haldeman. This is to the Treasury Secretary. This is to the Social Secretary for the White House.
They really are sort of a record of what the president is thinking about on any given day.
Yeah.
And some of them, at least 40 years after, seem very, very strange.
Yes, they do.
Did they seem strange at the time?
In this strange environment, no.
Nothing, of course, was stranger than the break-in at Democratic National Committee headquarters in the Watergate, that third-rate burglary which brought down the president. Butterfield was not in on it, but he knew about the taping system which could answer that famous question, what did the president know, and when did he know it?
Listen, the last thing I wanted to do is be the person that gave away the secret, because Haldeman and I had told the president we would never tell.
But then a retired FBI agent named Donald Sanders, a member of the Watergate Committee staff, wound up an otherwise routine interview by asking exactly the right question.
You remember the question?
Exactly.
How did it go?
Was there ever any other listening device in the Oval Office? That was and I said, I think I said I'm sorry you asked that question.
And history flips right there.
I knew what I was saying, getting into. I really knew what it meant.
When you look back at it now, would you have done anything differently in the way you handled that explosive secret of the taping system?
No, I've thought of that a lot.
I bet.
I regret absolutely nothing. I didn't do everything right, but I satisfied myself that I didn't tell a lie.
It was, of course, the tapes that revealed the president had obstructed justice by ordering the cover-up of the Watergate break-in. Nixon was forced to resign, and Butterfield faded into retirement in California.
This is that meeting that presidents have just before they go up to the Capitol to be sworn in as the new president.
But now he's back to teach us all one of the basic lessons of journalism. There is always more to the story.
There's the president waving goodbye, and you hear the applause.
As you probably recall, a former Trump White House aide, Cassidy Hutchinson, became front-page news with her damning testimony before the House committee investigating the events of January 6th. She also became a target and largely vanished from public view until now. She's talking with our Tracy Smith.
So you were in hiding? You are in hiding?
Were/are/coming out of hiding.
For Cassidy Hutchinson, the past 2 years haven't exactly been a
day at the beach.
Like, I go out in limited capacities, but, part of it is for security.
She's basically been off the radar since that day last summer when she found herself in the eye of a political hurricane.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Only one witness, and she is potentially a blockbuster. Cassidy Hutchinson.
In June 2022, Hutchinson, then 26 and a former senior advisor to Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, testified before the January 6th committee, and she didn't hold back.
As an American, I was disgusted.
Her position as an aide who worked only steps from the Oval Office seemed to make it all the more powerful.
We were watching the Capitol building get defaced over a lie.
But reports of security threats afterward drove her into hiding.
So my life changed in the way that I was living my life for a while.
You couldn't go back to your apartment.
I could not go back to my apartment. I ended up moving down to Atlanta for several months.
They didn't even think it was safe for you to stay in D.C.
No. And,
such a thing would have been unthinkable only a few months earlier. Hutchinson was a Trump loyalist from New Jersey who'd worked her way up from a White House internship to a spot as one of the higher-ranking aides in the West Wing, with access to the Chief of Staff and often the president himself.
I was the conduit to the White House Chief of Staff. Pretty much to get to him, you had to go through me in some capacity.
Did people trust you?
I would think so. When I worked there, people did trust me.
But the events of January 6th left Hutchinson shocked and disillusioned. In the final days of the administration, she was fired. But as a former White House insider, she was subpoenaed by the January 6th committee, and she started talking in a series of tape depositions.
I felt torn a lot of the time because I knew what I knew and I wanted to come forward with what I knew. But at the same time, I didn't want to feel like I was betraying them, and I didn't want to feel like I was betraying my colleagues.
As Hutchinson writes in a new book, published by Simon & Schuster, which, like CBS, is owned by Paramount Global, her first attorney was paid by a Trump PAC, and she says she was advised that the less she remembered, the better.
You're kind of caught here. You're starting to have this moral dilemma. I mean, you looked over the transcript and you counted the number of times that you said, I don't know, I don't recall. I mean, you said, I don't know and I don't recall more than 100 times.
Yes, in the final transcripts, it was written with I don't knows and I don't recalls, which was information that I very clearly recalled.
So, as she struggled with the thought of betraying her coworkers, Hutchinson started Googling another landmark D.C. hearing, Watergate, and found Alexander Butterfield, the former Nixon aide who revealed the existence of the White House taping system and helped bring down a president.
Mr. Butterfield, all of the president's conversations in the offices mentioned and on the telephones mentioned were recorded, as far as you know.
That's correct.
Butterfield's story became her beacon of hope, and the Bob Woodward book about him, The Last of the President's Men, became her Bible. She usually keeps her well-worn copy close at hand.
And he really was the source of strength for me and gave me the perspective that not only that I could do this, but that there was life on the other side of it.
And so, armed with a newfound conviction and new attorneys, she headed up to Capitol Hill and into history.
Did you want to back out at any point?
Oh, yes. I almost ran out of, there's the little hold room outside the committee room that we were about to walk in, and I almost started.
Even then, that close to it, you wanted to run away.
I heard the door click open, and I turned around and I looked at my attorney and said, I can't do this. And I started to walk, and he gently pushed my shoulders, and he said, you can do this. And then we walked out. When I returned to the White House,
among the more explosive moments, a story she says she'd heard from the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Tony Ornato, about a January 6th incident with Secret Service agent Bobby Engel in the presidential limousine, nicknamed the Beast, where the president was said to have insisted on being taken to Capitol Hill to join his supporters.
The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And when Mr. Renato had recounted this story to me, he had motioned towards his clavicles.
Both of these men say they don't remember this conversation happening. How can you explain that?
I know what I recall. In this particular instance, I can't climb inside the minds of Tony Renato and Bobby Engel. Maybe they truly don't recall this happening, but for me, I stand by what I testified to in that incident and in any other incident that had been disputed.
These are Banana Republic indictments. These are third world indictments.
In an interview last week, President Trump himself weighed in, disputing her account.
Who wouldn't dispute it? She's the craziest account I've ever heard. You mean that I was in The Beast, and she said I was in The Beast, and the Secret Service didn't. So I took a guy who was like a black belt in karate and grabbed his neck and tried to choke him.
What happened?
How ridiculous.
You admit in the book, you've admitted here that you told less than the truth, that you lied. Why should we believe you now?
Because what would I have to gain by coming forward? You know, it would have been easier for me to continue being complicit and to stay in the comfortable zone of, I had some sense of security, a semblance of security. I knew people that I could easily reach out to for jobs. I had friends.
Have you talked to either Tony or Bobby since?
I have not. I have not talked to many people in the Trump world since the day of my testimony.
Hutchinson's book is full of anecdotes about her time in Trump world, including a detailed account of Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani groping her. Giuliani's team calls it a disgusting lie, but Hutchinson stands by her story, as does her publisher. She was also among the witnesses who testified for the federal grand jury in Washington and the grand jury in Fulton County, Georgia. It's not clear how much impact her testimony had on the subsequent indictments of the president and his associates. But there was someone watching it all with special interest. The man who helped inspire Hutchinson to come forward, Alexander Butterfield, is now 97 and living in Southern California.
And Haldeman was a pal of mine.
And she's been able to thank him in person.
Now we're lifelong friends.
Yeah. Well, more than friends we are, yeah.
Cassidy Hutchinson says that while her life and her heroes have changed, she's still a Republican.
Are you backing someone yet in the 2024 election?
For starters, I would like to make clear, I would not back the former president of the United States. He is dangerous for the country. He is willing and has showed time and time again willingness to proliferate lies and to vulnerable American people so he could stay in power. To me, that is the most un-American thing that you can do.
I want to begin by thanking Ms. Hutchinson for her testimony today. We are all in her debt.
Alex Butterfield said he'd do it all over again. Would you?
I would. I don't think I would really change anything. You know, I got to where I needed to be, and I'm proud of the work the committee did too, and I'm also very grateful that they were willing to listen and that America was willing to listen too.